What's up, everyone? MK Tom Brady here. So in this video, I want to talk about the way balance was achieved in Mortal Kombat 11 and kind of give my take on this. So Mortal Kombat 11, there's no denying it. It is the most balanced NRS game of all time. One of the main reasons is because they basically said, let's just make the characters less over the top, which I think is a pretty good thing. Characters can be good without being like, wow, over the top good. So they got rid of some of the obvious, like, why is that in the game kind of stuff, and they kind of power scaled everything back. I think it has a really good effect in the game. You know, you don't really see a character where you say, well, this character has no chance of winning against that character. So they really scaled things back really, really well in that aspect. And like I said, they have a measure of balance that is not in the other games. However, other ways that they try to achieve balance is through uniformity in the system. They try to make it so just in the system as well, no character would have an advantage over another. But in reality, they created still an advantage, and in some ways, an even bigger advantage for some characters over others. And this is really where the imbalance part of the game comes in. The price of balance was imbalance. So here's what I mean by that. Let's take meter system, for example. So Mortal Kombat 11, so other fighting games, like so MK11, you use your meter here and your bar regenerates passively. Now Cetrion's offensive bar passively regenerates the same speed as other characters' offensive bar. So when you spend bar to enhance one of your moves, the bar is going to come at the exact same speed. Same thing for defensive resource. Everyone who breaks away, the defensive bar comes back at the exact same pace. No character has a longer breakaway timing than the other, in which the rate of their defensive bar comes back. And when you use defensive bars for specials, the bar comes back. So Cetrion will passively regenerate her defensive bar here for this move at the same speed as Jackie will passively regenerate her defensive bar for, uh, you know, her amplified leaps. And any character that has any type of cancel for a defensive bar, their bar is going to come back the exact same speed. Breakaways do come back a little slower, but again, all this stuff is uniform. And this was done for one thing. One, they'll say this was done to, hey, you know, this character builds bar faster than me. I'm trying to focus on neutral over here, and this character over here is building bar so much faster. I can't play neutral when I got to worry about building bar. And a lot of people think, oh, this was done because, hey, neutral, right? I mean, you want to play neutral or do you want to build bar? Look, if you want a neutral game, you don't have characters flying across the screen from one end of the screen to the other doing offense. Or God knows how many other neutral breakers are in this game. You would also scale those back. Neutral was 0.0. The concern for some of this stuff really, people try to make it seem like Mortal Kombat is this game that has all these neutral breakers, and that other games are you just walk back and forth and there's no neutral breaking. This is completely false. Other fighting games have tons of neutral breakers. The difference is they don't, or I guess their community doesn't say, oh, something was done like this for the purpose of neutral. They understand that has nothing to do with the decisions that are made with these aspects. So the meter system, wanting people to play neutral, is 0.0% the reason for this meter system. However, and if it was a reason, that's not good because it really doesn't change anything. But the real thing is, so normally moves in 2D games, you can have some super powerful moves because they're governed by resource, right? You don't have access to these moves because, take Cetrion, for example, right? Once she used all of her resource here, right? She can't gain any of this back until she builds it back. So she's supposed to be a quote-unquote zoner. So she'd have to build it back by zoning. Although I'm doing no zoning at all, and she's building bar back. So what happens is once you get in certain range of zoners, it makes it tough for them to build bar because the zoning becomes more risky. You're in closer range to jump over something or punish something unsafe, such as her Hell's Wrath here. This right here is minus 17, right? Her range, her ranged rock wall is, especially from range, where you really can't do much about it except for flawless block it. And then a lot of characters, even if they flawless block it, they're up to can't even reach. These type of bars moves have resource, but so if she had to build her bar properly, right? So once she's out of all this, right? So she's spent all of her bar here. when you're getting closer, if she wants to say, okay, let me try something like this, she's unsafe. She no longer gets the safety of the amplify. Something like this, she's unsafe. She no longer gets that mind game of the amplify. So even zoning characters, as you close the screen, if they haven't built that bar back, are in trouble because they obviously want to build the bar. And once the offensive player gets in and is pressuring them, they're not building their defensive bar anymore until they get hit. And even though you're building bar for getting hit, the offensive player is still winning out because they're getting damage and situations. So sure, you're going to build some bar there, but in the neutral, once they close the distance and get in, your way of building bar is pretty much gone. And if you want to try to separate in ranges, like I said, Cetrion would have to take some risk because she has to build that bar back. Now, when this is gone, this bar is just going to come back passively, right? She has to do nothing really. In fact, she can say, I want a Hell's Wrath, I want a whatever, let me just wait, it'll come back. She doesn't have to do something to build that bar back. So really, it causes imbalance in zoning. Zoning is severely underwhelming in this game. Please don't make me let you believe that zoning is powerful in this game. However, the way stuff would be determined as far as how you could do it or not, the resource is given to you, this passive regeneration. Normally, and this does cause some form of imbalance. One of the main reasons why a character like Baraka struggles against Cetrion is not because, wow, Cetrion toned her down. No. It's really because of the meter regenerating passively. In reality, she would be 1,000 times more balanced with normal regeneration, as far as no more passive regeneration. And also, when you get in on some of these characters and you finally get in, they have regenerated their defensive resource as well if they've had to expend some previous in the round. And by the time you finally get in and knock them down, they usually have at least one bar of each resource, so then they can up 3, up 2, forward roll, backward roll, etc. So not only does it allow them to keep escaping, it makes it harder for the character to knock them down, and it makes it easier for them to zone, because the skill in zoning is also managing resource and being able to build bar in tight situations. That's gone. The number one skill to zoning has been removed from the game. So I guess you could say there's a reason why there's no power zoning, because it would be completely over the top in this game if there was. But just in general, even reasons why Cetrion is still like too over the top in some situations is because stuff like this, her projectiles are probably the last reason why she's like a top character. Her normals, etc., are really good, but in general, the passive regeneration. If she spent all her bars, like, hey, I'm trying to get away, I finally got away, stay away from me, stay away from me, right? Now she's on 0. Now she has to build her bar. Now she goes to Hell's Wrath, punished. Rock Wall, punished. Get knocked down, only just getting straight up in the delay options, right? Her mistakes, her poor resource management is going to cost her, and this is just completely removed. And I understand why they were trying to have the meter regenerate passively, just to say, hey, everyone regenerates meter the same time. A character no longer has an advantage in how they build meter. But while they eliminated 1 or 2 downsides to meter having to be earned, they created 10,000 extra problems. 1, character uniformity. Characters that build bar separately are good because it keeps their own individual strategy. Instead of all of them saying, I don't have to do X, Y, or Z, it comes back by itself. That hurts character individuality. That makes, again, just more uniform play styles, as opposed to characters do this or that for bar. They all get it the same way. It also makes defensive characters a little more powerful. As far as, not like they're over the top or broken, but it like their hand is being held, so a lot of the mechanics that are normally there to balance certain aspects to not hold the player's hand and saying, oh, you always have this or always have that, now those would be gone, and there'd be a little more balance aspect. Jackie is another one that's kind of weird here. For one, Jackie and Sonya both have the exact same amount of health, which is kind of weird, right? I mean, so Sonya's got 950 health, Jackie has 950 health. Jackie's a power offensive character. Normally, mega offensive characters like Jackie, in the manner in which she does it, have less health. So I could understand, okay, 950 health, yeah, that keeps in line with a lot of fighting game characters in other fighting games. Sonya is not even in the same stratosphere, not even in the same galaxy as Jackie. Why does she have 950 health? If Sonya has 950 health, Jackie should have like 800 health. So just weird how they're like, yeah, sure, 950, why not? Now the way Jackie uses bar is the same thing. So an offensive character normally, when an offensive character spends all their resource, right, to initiate offense, they would have to build their bar back. So Jackie, instead of stuff regenerating passively, when she takes her shot and she gets nothing and you reset neutral, now she has to get back in again, but she is not building any bar when she does. So until she finally gets back and can start building some bar, or she tries whiffing stuff like this, which of course is going to be unsafe and can be baited and punished from range, as she's trying to build bar or trying to whip special moves like leap, she's going to open herself up. And when she finally gets in, if she has no bar, she's not going to be able to do, like any of her shrapnel stuff. Like all that is going to be gone. Like all that stuff is gone. So she spent all this resource trying to initiate, offense and get something going, right? And now it's all gone. Now she finally gets in, and guess what? She doesn't have any resource for that. So she doesn't have the ability to amplify shrapnel. She won't have the ability to full screen leap. Nothing Jackie does is actually broken. But when you apply a passive meter regeneration, it becomes too strong. Also, characters like her always have resource to circumvent the wake-up system. So when she knocks you down, she has a ton of ways to completely circumvent the wake-up system. When you knock her down, she always has bar to use the wake-up system. Characters that are usually really strong one way or the other, so they're really, really good keep-away characters, really, really, really strong offensive characters, have some limitations. Usually they are not as good getting off the ground outside of universal mechanics, which unfortunately the game gives them all 1,000 universal mechanics, or they have less health. A character like Jackie would probably have less health, maybe 800 in another fighting game. In Mortal Kombat, they just slap a random health value on. I don't even think they really have a reason for it, and it's certainly not done properly. So really, the uniform aspect of the game in the meter system, I understand why, this is why offensive characters are so powerful. They don't even have to say, okay, let me, I got to get in, I got to build some bar. They're basically saying, okay, I spent all my resource, but I don't really have to do anything. I can still take my time. And these are why keep-away characters are not as good against offensive characters, right? Because from this range, the keep-away character is supposed to have advantage, and the offensive character always does. In close, the offensive character still has the advantage because they're better in close, but the defensive character, when the offensive character gets in, is still regenerating bar. So when you knock a character when Baraka gets in and knocks a character like Cetrion down, right, she's still building bar, while she's on the ground, building bar in between rounds, building bar. Everything is just kind of like a lot of hand holding. So the thing is, a game like MK11, stuff that's a little imbalanced seems more noticeable than a game like MK9, where when one character is doing 100% combos, the next guy over here doesn't seem as bad, and it kind of doesn't seem as imbalanced because you have so much of this stuff that's like, wow, this is over the top. This game, because more stuff is toned down, stuff that seems like, wow, this is in the game, seems a little bit more noticeable, which is why we hear this character's busted, that character's busted. I understand the reason for the uniform wake-up system, the uniform way everybody builds meter back, etc. But for the two issues it solves, it causes 10 more. And in reality, this game would actually be more balanced if the meter did not regenerate passively. So I understand the idea, and I certainly commend them for being innovative, but it really helps to destroy character individuality and the way offensive and defensive characters are meant to work, especially wake-up system, where you're not supposed to have 300 of these moves around. It would be impossible to build the bar naturally, right? To use what you want to use. It would be impossible to build the bar naturally, to break away as much as you do, to use your offensive moves as much as you do, to roll and wake up as much as you do. All this stuff, there are already safeguards in fighting games to safeguard from these mechanics. They just for some reason decided they would go with something new, which I applaud them because look, I think it means a lot when you have a company that's willing to try to innovate. Look, nobody. I don't want a game that stays stagnant. I like the forward thinking of NRS, and I certainly want to thank them with the custom variations that they put in the game. It takes a lot of risk, takes a lot of balls, a lot of cojones, to do this, right? And they did it, and they pulled it off. And I think they're still kind of like, working to kind of get it all right. And I think we'll see some of these moves that are banned unbanned and less conflicts in the future as they tweak the game a little bit more. But yeah, I do want to applaud them for that. And I do want to say one thing. This is just my opinion here, but I think the game is good. I'm going to continue to play the game. I do enjoy playing it, and I will continue to play this game regularly. Now, there are those players out there who are going to listen to what I'm saying and they're going to say, see, that's why I'm not good. That's why I'm not top. And people love to blame the game for them not being where they think they should be, as far as like, oh, I would be top if not XYZ. The truth is, this game is still pretty damn good. And if you have an ounce of top player blood in your body and you actually put the time and the work in this game, you would be a top player. The game is not holding you or anyone back. The only one doing that is you. So for someone to say, "Oh, I would be top, but the mechanics are," that's a bunch of baloney. Because I can't believe I said baloney. Gosh, I'm getting old. But yeah, this is just my thoughts on the game. I'm hoping in MK12 they kind of fix some of this stuff so that we don't really have some of these issues as much, and that, they go back to a more traditional sense with how stuff like this does. Because I really think looking at it now, this game would be much better if they went that route. So anyway, don't mind me sprinting here, guys. This is why I hate using webcam on days that are really dark and dreary and rainy because I have to blast these lights right in my face. It's really, really irritating, but I know it's YouTube and you guys love webcam. So, yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. I really appreciate all the support I get from my videos. You guys are the best. And I got like 10 more MK11 videos that I'm releasing this week, so stay tuned for a lot of content. As always, thanks for watching. Stay tuned.